A lot of Africans love to support disastrous dictators. Some of the recent examples are with this guy from Cameroon, Paul Biya. Paul Biya has been in power for almost 40 years, right? And look at the country. It's like only getting worse. It's only getting worse and worse and worse, and he doesn't want to calm down. He doesn't want to get down from power. And guess what? There are millions of people in Cameroon that still voted for that guy. I'm not saying that he won the election, but people voted for him. At least almost half of the country voted for that guy still. Even when you post about him online, there are Cameroonians that says that, oh, he is our leader. He's our strong man. The guy is 92 years old, bro. He has been in power for almost 40 years, bro. And nothing have changed. If you are 92 years old and you have been in power for almost 4 decades and nothing have changed, I mean, the only change that is there is negative changes, like nothing is getting better. That is like you should definitely, no sound person, rational thinking person should be supporting somebody like that, right? But yet there are a lot of people, millions of Africans that support him, that voted for him, still fighting online, cursing people out for him, right? Another example is the one in Ivory Coast right now, Al-Hassan Ouattara, right? He, became president, I think 2000 what? Was it 2011, 12, if I'm not making a mistake? It was, I think, 2011, 12 when Gbagbo got out of power, right? And the constitution of the country says that you can only run for 2 terms, right? And then you are out forever. This guy won, so to speak, twice. And then what he did, he went ahead and changed the constitution of the country. That right there is you don't have to even, I don't care what you do, man. Changing the constitution to fit your narrative, to fit your power greediness, to feed your power greediness. It's just flat out dictatorship, disastrous dictatorship. Because what you are doing, you are not doing it for the sake of the country, but you are only doing it to feed your ego. That's what it is, right? And there are millions of people in Africa that supports him still, that voted for him 100%, right? And another one is, of course, Mugabe, Robert Mugabe. I love Mugabe. I mean, what type of African that don't love Mugabe? 100%. I believe he had the perfect dream for a united Africa. He always spoke, for all African. As a matter of fact, I believe that he is I not just believe, I accept him and I, endowed him with Pan-Africanism. Meaning amongst my Pan-Africans, he's definitely, on the list. You understand what I'm saying? But if you are going to rule for decades, right, it has to be in favor of the people. Your leadership should not bring horror to the country. Once your leadership is bringing horror to the country, you are not good for the country. That's what I'm saying. If the West is against you, that is understandable. But you staying in power, what are you going to do to counter that, negativities and all those strikes and sanctions that are coming out of the West to the country? What are you going to do about it? Because for you to stay in power, you have to make sure that none of those sanctions, can reach the masses, the population, the people of the country, that they don't have to suffer just because you are the president of the country. If you can find a way to deal with the Western imperialism and Western sanctions, on your country to the extent that your people don't have to suffer from it, then 100%. You can stay in power as long as they want you to stay there. But if you are there and they are suffering, like people can't even afford a meal, the power, the strength of your currency is nowhere to be found. The economy is dead as it can get. That's not good for the country. You shouldn't be there for decades when that is happening to your country. If you cannot find a way to get them out of that turmoil, then maybe you should get out of there, another person should try. And then, of course, last but not the least, on this segment is the former president of Liberia, Charles Taylor, right? I see a lot of Liberians, a lot of my brothers and sisters, when they are talking about Charles Taylor. I remember the other time I was talking to somebody and he said, Charles Taylor was the best president Liberia ever had. And I'm like, are you serious? How is that? Like, come on, make me understand. Where is your mind? Like, where is your brain? Like, did somebody do something to you? Where you are acting like as if you were born, even if you were born yesterday, there is still history. You can go and read the history, and you know exactly who is Charles Taylor and how he became president, right? Charles Taylor re-entered in Liberia in 1989, December 24th, a day before Christmas. He entered in Liberia with rebels and guns and started killing people. That's how he reintroduced himself to the Liberian society. He literally started the 14-year civil war that took the lives of 250,000 Liberians, right? He started that in 1989, right? And by 1997, we came to some type of conclusion that there should be an election in the country so that we can have a stabilized country, right? And then Charles Taylor, went on air and threatened the country that if he doesn't win, the war is going to continue, even way more ferocious than it has been for the last 7-8 years. So people got scared. A lot of people got scared. You have Liberians on the street in 1997 jumping and singing, talking about Charles Taylor, you killed my mother, you killed my father, I will still vote for you. Like, how absurd can somebody say something like that, right? And then, of course, Charles Taylor won the election. More than 80% of the country voted for him. A lot of which came from fear that, yes, the war might continue. A lot of people were already tired. They don't want to go back to those, dark days, whatever, right? And then he won, and then he was declared president, but the war still continued, regardless, because other rebel groups, other warring factions, they were not having it. They didn't want a rebel leader to be the president of the country, right? So the war continued, and the war did not stop until 2003, when he had no option but to surrender, right? And he surrendered. He thought he would go to Nigeria and have a safe haven there and stay there until one day you find a way to come back. But the international community had different plans, right? So now, of course, obviously, he is in The Hague, in the UK, right? I'm saying in The Hague. He's in prison in the UK, 50 years prison sentence. And up until today, Liberians still think that, Charles Taylor was a good president. Or in a lot of people's mind, he was the best president Liberia ever had. Like, you have to be stupid to think like that. You have to be stupid to think that, Charles Taylor was the best president Liberia ever had. You have to understand, during Charles Taylor's presidency, people were being murdered. People were being destroyed, killed, raped, you name it, throughout his presidency on a daily basis. Do you know that his son, Chucky Taylor, who was born in America, is serving a 99 years jail term, prison sentence in America, in the US? 99 years. That is your best president? So when I'm talking about Africans who support disastrous dictators, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. You support somebody because maybe during his presidency, you were okay. Your community was okay, but the rest of the country was in mayhem. Is that the kind of country you want? Is that the kind of society you want? Oh, as long as me and my family, we are good, as long as we are good, then we don't care what happened to the other people. They can get destroyed. We don't care. That is not a human way of thinking. A human being way of thinking is that the entire society should be able to live in peace and harmony, right? In a civilized society where people respect one another. But for a lot of other Africans, this is not the case. The case is, oh no, this guy is from my tribe, or this guy, we do something together, we have something in common, or we share the same religion. So if he kills the other people, I don't give a damn. He is my president. That's my best president. A lot of Liberians say that. But all of them that say that, they are literally intellectually inferior. And the thing is, you don't have to be intellectually, superior for you to understand that Charles Taylor was not a good president for Liberia. Talk less of him being a great or the greatest president in Liberia history, right? All you have to have is a common sense. You don't have to go to school to graduate to have a PhD before you know that Charles Taylor presidency was a disastrous one, right? Since he entered in 1989 until he left 2003, 250,000 Liberians died. From the day he entered in Liberia till the day he left, they said, 14 years civil war in Liberia. That was the 14 years that Charles Taylor spent in Liberia, continuously, non-stop. That is the darkest decade in Liberia history. 14 years of non-stop war. And you say he is the best president. Sometime, man. So when I was growing up, I always thought that mentality was only in Liberia. And then I see people from Cameroon doing the same thing. I see people from Ivory Coast doing the same thing. I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? This has to be an African thing. Even the thing that is going on right now in Sudan. You have, the two army generals, right? What is his name? Mohammed Dagalo, who called himself Hemeti, and the guy, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. These two guys, they have followers, people who submit to them, who obey them, who love them. So no matter what you say about them, all they care about is that they support those guys. And they keep killing innocent children. In less than 2 years, 150,000 people have been killed, while more than 14 million people have been displaced. And people are still loyal to people like that. So with all this information coming now, I begin to understand, this is not only a Liberian problem. Not only Liberians that support disastrous dictators, but all Africans does it. A lot of Africans does it. And why is that? It's sickness. It's time for us to wake up. We have to support people that means well, not just for our family, but for our entire society. Because family on a larger scale is the entire society that you live in. No matter where I go, I'm a Liberian. If I go to Nigeria, I show my passport, they're going to treat me like a foreigner. If I go to any country, they're going to treat me like a foreigner. The only place I'm not going to be treated like a foreigner is my country, Liberia. So guess what? When I come to a country, Liberians are my family. Right? So if I'm going to choose a leader, it has to be a leader that has all Liberians at heart, not some Liberians. So Africans need to start choosing their leaders wisely. If your leader has been in power, and since he has been in power or she has been in power, a lot of people getting killed. People are suffering and dying and getting all these hideous crimes are happening all day, every day. Maybe he's not or she's not the rightful person for the country. And you should be wise enough to know that. You should be logical enough to know that. You should be grown up, mature enough to know that. Like other countries, they have left us behind. Like literally. Africans need to start being more patriotic. Be more patriotic to your country. Be more patriotic to your country, man.
Like, follow and subscribe.